I gravitated towards the women in my life. I just did. I gravitated towards the kitchen. I wanted to be a part of canning when that was happening and being in that room with them, hearing the stories.
Is that how you got through the Iowa winters then?
Right.
How you fed yourself?
We just like all were in there with like our spinning wheels of wool. Just like,
Hi, everybody. So this is the book you're all going to be getting. This is Kaleb's. He's a New York Times best-selling author as a result of this. All right. When did you know, Kaleb Wyse, that you had an idea that needed to be a book?
I still don't know if I do. No, I think I'm someone that, this is always a hard question because I've had different iterations maybe of it. I never thought I'd be a writer.
Right.
Whether it was a cookbook or not. You know, you go through English classes, you go through different things, and you never think like, this for me was not something that I was like, I want to write.
Right.
And I also grew up comfortable with food, obviously, had amazing people teaching me food, but never grew up thinking my food was something special. We lived on a farm in Iowa, still do. And it was never something, you know, I've always said, like my grandma, if I gave her a compliment, it was always like, oh, this is just like, it's just the normal thing, it's nothing. She didn't say, you're welcome or thank, you know, anything like that. And so I feel like it was, to me, nothing special. So it honestly wasn't until my editors, Deb and Emma are here, and Deb reached out to me randomly.
She saw maybe your blog or your YouTube
had
channel.
followed
It's a
without
great
me
YouTube
knowing.
channel.
And she reached out and said, hey, have you thought about writing a cookbook? I almost didn't respond because it seemed too, I was like, is it spam? Is she real? But, well, you know, like who like reaches out, you know, it's one of those things, you're like, and so I said, okay, let's meet. And in talking, she gave me the comfort level that I thought, if she believes in this, I'm gonna trust her intuition more than my own, because I usually am a no person, and I'm working on being a yes person, I'm not a yes person. And so I said yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, we had dinner the other night, and you said, when you were in junior high, that you were sitting at a lunch table with a bunch of cool kids and they kicked you out because you weren't cool enough. Does that have anything to do with the title of your book, There's Always Room at the Table?
I didn't even think about that.
I don't just play a psychologist.
That's really weird. That's weird. You told me the other night that you were going to remember that, but I didn't want to put that together. I mean, that works really well, right? I think for me it was more, we came from a family that obviously my grandmas were big cooks.
Right.
My mom is a big cook. Even Sundays after church, you would always make extra food in case. And so the idea was there's always extra food because there's always room around the table. And they would have, whether it was my great grandma or anyone, they would always put another person. Even if they pulled a stool up, and they sat usually, the woman, usually probably my grandma or mom or someone would have sat on the stool, and they would have let everyone else and always made sure there was enough food, and there was. And for me, but that's a good, I like that. I'll take your reason now. I'm going to say,
connection
after
there.
this, I'll say that.
Well, they say that the best journeys take you home. And so you went to college and you studied accounting.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to go back to your fourth generation farm?
Growing up, I think, and my parents, my grandparents, they were never pushy about being a farmer, and I never was going to be a traditional farmer. I was never one that wanted to go out and tend a field or work with livestock. I enjoyed being home, and I enjoyed our farm, but I was never one that wanted to be a farmer like my dad was. But I think it was something about, you know, I still grew up in an area, while it was changing a lot, it was still somewhat family farms, and I think I grew up at a time where you started recognizing that certain family farms were being passed on and sold and they weren't existing anymore. And I knew that I was the last. So I was the last person in my family that if anyone was going to move home and at least be with it or be in that area, it was going to be me. And I think I put pressure on myself. No one else, I really truly don't believe anyone else did, but I put that pressure that I, for some reason, didn't want it to go away. And I wouldn't say it was the smart decision because it's the middle of Iowa.
Yeah.
I did go to accounting. My first job was accounting. I hated it. It was awful, just like you would think it would be. Some people are gifted in accounting and they actually enjoy it, I think, but I did not. I went to it. My dad had passed away in 2004.
Right.
And it was right at the end of high school, kind of that pivotal time where you're trying to figure everything out. And I think I knew how connected he was to the farm. He felt his calling was farming.
Yeah.
And I think so for me, I felt still, I think, a piece of him there.
Yeah.
And it was still at the time where I wanted to have a lot more of a relationship with him in life that I
After he passed.
realized I was going to miss out on.
Yeah.
And I think a little part of me probably at that time thought if I move home, I keep that. I've learned and grown now that I probably wouldn't have made that decision again, but I'm glad I did because it created this.
Yeah. I'm going to read what you wrote in the beginning here. The recipes in this book are for you, so that you'll feel excited and ready to experience simple home food. This is for the home cook who quietly puts food on the table daily. I owe my know-how and blind confidence to those quiet cooks, Mom, my grandmas, and the generations before. who didn't see kitchen work as relentless, but a way to nourish and grow their families. So we always ask here at Godmothers, the women in your life, we ask the authors, that have guided you and put light on your path and supported you. They don't necessarily have to be blood relations, but I think perhaps in your case they are. Let's talk about your grandmas.
I'm really lucky, and I didn't realize it, I don't think, until later in life. I still have my one grandma. She's 88. She lives
Which one is that?
My grandma Alice. That's my dad's mom. Her and grandpa still live 5 minutes away, and she still likes to cook dinners, have us over. She is I mean, honestly, in some ways, you don't think she's ever going to die with how amazing she is, and she is just such a go-getter and can work harder than I can. I grew up with both never feeling like women or men in my family had, you know, the higher role, but always feeling they had like equal strength in a lot of ways without it being necessarily, like we were religious. I grew up Mennonite actually, not Amish, it's very different. But never felt that, and always felt that I gravitated towards the women in my life. I just did. I gravitated towards the kitchen. I wanted to be a part of canning when that was happening and being in that room with them, hearing the stories.
Is that how you got through the Iowa winters then?
Right.
How you fed yourself?
We just like all were in there with like our spinning wheels of wool, just like sit there. No, but like, but we did can. Mom did at the time, even when I was growing up. Mom would have canned for sustenance to like help us, like so we didn't have to spend as much on groceries, things like that. But I think without them meaning to, they taught me something that I couldn't have learned anywhere else, which is just a comfort level with a lot of food and being comfortable with giving it to others and making it. And I think when I was writing this, I realized how much they were impacting me through my words.
Yeah, he writes beautifully. In fact, you go back to your great-grandmothers, don't you? Yeah.
Because I was lucky. I knew my one great-grandma very well.
You did.
My other just faintly. But I heard so much, and I think my grandma that passed away in 2004, my mom's mom, she talked so highly of her mom and all the things she did. And her mom was from that era where you kept a journal or a diary. Yeah. So every day she would document everything. Yeah. I mean, from what they picked in the garden to what she made her family to sometimes how her husband annoyed her. And it was just kind of amazing to have that kind of, I think, heritage kind of come slowly through the generations and in a quiet way. That's why I said the quiet cooks, because they did it in a way just because it was what they did.
What they did.
Not to show off. It was never these huge, big, ostentatious, entertaining things. It was just to feed their family.
And how about your mom? Let's talk about your mom, Jody.
She's pretty special.
Yeah.
She lives across the road right now from where I live, which is the generational farmhouse. I live in the one my grandparents had purchased later on. And so we have a very, obviously, close, healthy and unhealthy relationship. I'm really lucky that I have such a close relationship with my mom and talk to her every day. Yeah. And
you see her every day too, right?
Sometimes, I was going to say that's sometimes on the phone and in person, multiple times. But that's how lucky am I to be able to do that.
Yeah. Is she proud of you? Does she tell you she's proud of you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's very proud. She's one that I think social media is odd, right? Yeah. Like, so like what I do is an odd thing that isn't always like explainable. So
the YouTube thing and the blog.
Right? And, like even me, I can never always explain or understand it. And I think for her it's the same thing, but I think she'll sometimes get recognized because she's in videos or things. Yeah. And for her, I think that's actually sometimes more meaningful than it is for me because I think she's looked for validation in a lot of ways. She was one that wanted a career. Yeah. Didn't know what it would be, but also felt
outside of the farm.
Yes, and I think as a farm wife, felt pulled to be at home, garden a lot, do things, and never felt like she didn't feel and has still felt that she didn't have a real job in life. She's really struggled with that. And I think this a little bit, I try to hopefully show, I haven't told her this directly, I guess, but show her how it is a job or how our jobs aren't defined.
How important it is, too. Yeah.
I think, well, because, you know, that's always like that stereotype, especially for women or women at home, that whole push play of like, oh, I'm just a mom. And it's like, well, no, you're not just a mom. There's all these things you do. Right. And I think for her, I've so often told her that. For one, you know, she always looked for other ways to make money. She was a seamstress for people at times. She would do bake sales for a while. So she was always doing a lot of things on top of all the things she was doing at home, let alone. And here I talk so often about, you know, canning now is a luxury almost. It's a privilege. It takes so much time. But to think of the hours she put into it, all those days, it wasn't just a mom. It was a cook. It was
and you basically ate from the food you grew. Is this true for your mother too? Because that's what you do, correct?
I try to. I would say I do it now more a little bit with that organic edge to it, like you know, for health too. But growing up, absolutely. I mean, our grocery, we still talk about this sometimes. Groceries at that time are much more the things you couldn't get at home. Right. So whatever that was, but yeah, if it was anything during the summer, it was always from the garden, and then we canned pretty much anything you can think of. So, you know, carrots, beans, peas, either frozen or canned, everything, and then would use them all throughout the winter. By the way, we didn't have a covered wagon. We weren't like that.
No, I want to ask about that too.
Sometimes it sounds a little too much. Like
No, well,
we
let's
had
talk.
a TV even.
Let's talk about the Mennonite aspect of this. So you grew up Mennonite. This is a Mennonite community, and I'm sure it inspired the way your family farmed.
Yeah, Mennonite for us growing up, and there were probably like 10 Mennonite churches, 8 in my area, something like that. It wasn't like a no TV, no electricity type of conservatism at all. It was a very much community-oriented, pacifistic. That still is a big and Anabaptist history. But I mean, the big history around it, other than farming, is food. I mean, just like so many cultures, food is such a big proponent of it, and it's what you give to people. It's how you come together and commune, and it's how you come around a table and enjoy each other. So yeah, it's a huge part of who I am.
Yeah. So when you came back from college and you decided to come back to the farm, did you stick with the Mennonite faith? Did you go to church? Or
I did for a while.
Yeah.
And it can be, there's wonderful parts of it, and I would still say there's some churches at home I would very much align with and would be wonderful. And just like everything now, there are some that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, things always are changing and evolving, but I think at the core, and I've talked about this actually a lot on my social media, I think at the core, there are so many wonderful aspects just to like do good, to be humble, to love others, acts of service. There are so many things that I think you can take away. And I mean, it's in some ways, it's just like that quiet cook kind of comes from that Mennonite idea of just not making major waves. You know,
look at me, look
others.
at me. Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think my grandpa actually, honestly, with that, because I've always thought he is such a good, he has strong beliefs, but he's always willing to listen quietly before he would speak, and still is that way.
And how is he with you? The fact that you have a husband and
he's wonderful.
Yeah,
he's never like he's always just a sweet, wonderful man.
Yeah.
And that's because that's who he always has been.
Right. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we throw around the word sustainable a lot, especially when it comes to farming. But, I mean, your farm, no Monsanto, no pesticides, nothing like that, right?
On my homestead farm, correct.
Yes.
There is none of that.
And what do you grow?
I do kind of everything. So I'll do everything from winter squash and pumpkins. And I'm someone that just, like, I like the challenge, but I also want to, will be kind of any and every vegetable. So I still can a lot. I do still do a lot of freezing, somewhat for videos and what I do, but also because once it gets in you and you grew up with it, you're not going to stop.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, as soon as I moved into my house, I didn't have a family, but I put in just as big of garden as we had growing up because that's what I was used to.
And you use
Mom
it.
was still across the road, so I don't know why. But
Yeah.
we still do, but when we now do delineate and divvy it out a little bit. But everything. I will still do lots of tomatoes and peppers and brassicas and...
What's brassica?
Oh, just like your broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, they're all in the same family.
Oh, sure.
I
knew that.
Lots of greens, asparagus, rhubarb, because in Iowa lots of people have rhubarb. And then lots of landscaped beds too.
Yeah. Now, I know this because I know you,
Yeah.
but you would not have the business that you have and the success that you have if you didn't have your partner, Joel,
Right.
your husband. Let's talk about Joel a little bit. Where is he? He's very quiet.
He's going to be
and
hidden.
he's like this right now.
He might like hide under a sheet here soon.
Yeah, and he's
He's
red.
always been the quiet person behind that really makes the wheels turn.
Yep.
He started out as the everything else. So the editor, the filmer, the designer of a lot of things, whether it's our magazine or other things we put out, the photographer, many times the food stylist, because it's really just not my, like, I can do it, but I also am not always the best at tedious little things like that.
Where did you meet?
College.
College,
Accounting
okay.
classes. He was
And
actually...
Mennonite is...
He was good at them.
Yeah, right.
I was not.
And you are Mennonite as well, right? Isn't that interesting? And from Ohio. Yeah.
Mennonites only marry Mennonites. It's a rule.
Okay, in your introduction, you say, food memories, like all memories, can be a wild ride. Some scrumptious and some not so delicious, which brings me to the meal I made for you.
I liked it.
It was
No, it was good.
You could feel the love, though, right?
No, that was okay.
And
first thing, can I just say how warm Jane is? People don't know this. You know, you meet people and you're like, not only was she like wonderful in person, within not long, you invited me into your home
Yes.
with your wife, with Joel. made us a meal. Like, I mean, it was wonderful though,
Oh,
too.
well,
It was
good.
not-
All right.
Yeah, don't believe whatever
The
she says.
pork was dry. The salad dressing had too much lemon, and I
Now you
did it.
have a cookbook.
Yeah, now I have a cookbook. Oh, yes, I do. So, how close do you stick when you cook? How close, especially the stuff from like your heritage, from your grandparents? How close do you stay to the recipe, or do you riff a little on it?
I don't follow recipe well at all.
You
No,
don't?
No. But I would say I like the rule. I did not make this up. Someone else did. You should make a recipe once.
Yeah.
And then, and I would say I do adhere to that, especially if it's something new I haven't made. I try to very much like follow it. I am someone though too that I say it in the book multiple times. I don't want people to have to go out and always buy everything that's new. So if you have something that's like a slight variation and it can work, yes, I
If
would.
it's the same color or something. No.
Right. Just throw it in.
Just
and
throw
see.
it in.
This can very much be something that is what you have on hand, whether it's changing the root vegetable or something like that.
Yeah. You talk about there's a burger in there. What makes your burger so? It's called like the best burger.
Oh, I think it is. Have you
Well,
made
okay,
it?
no, I haven't. And what do you do that makes it the best?
This is
I'm a
actually what
burger eater, I
Mom
love
did
it.
growing up. So everything I tried to do in here was slightly like updated a little bit, or maybe make it a little bit fresher. Or didn't use maybe a processed item. Growing up, Mom would always put in a package of the onion soup.
Onion soup,
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, because it has what it really has is just a ton
Yeah.
of salt.
Yeah,
So it's going to give it a
oh,
ton
but
of
it's
like,
so good,
and a
yeah.
good flavor. So
Yeah.
this though
The
has the
powdered
sautéed
stuff, right?
onions to give it the same kind of
okay.
idea.
As opposed to the powder?
Yes, and
Yeah.
it does have a little bit of a panade, so like some
Yeah.
bread that's going to keep the moisture but also keep the shape.
Yeah.
So I think it like mimics that same idea, but without having to use maybe some of the extra like long list of ingredients that are in like that soup pack.
Yeah. Do you put it on a grill or?
Yeah, I still do a grill.
You
I mean, you
grill-
could do it in a grill pan
Yeah.
if you want or something,
Yeah.
but I do a grill.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
do get the char flavor. You grill. She grilled.
I
when was
do.
at her house.
Yeah. Yep. I grilled that pork too dry. Now, I'm noticing you have a whole bunch of really delicious desserts in here. Now, when you were in college, you were heavier. You like lost a bunch of weight, correct?
I did. How
Yeah,
did
you
I
told me
forgot I
that.
told you that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And now they know. So you are not afraid of sugar. So
That's a question I get a lot from
Yeah.
followers. How do you make this food, whatever it is, XYZ, and stay trim or not? I mean, it's all about, obviously it is, moderation, but like when you make a whole casserole, when you make a whole baked good, you can't eat the whole thing, or you shouldn't. If I'm going to eat it, I will always tell myself, as much as I can, it needs to be homemade. And I like the idea
Yeah.
of putting work into it, because then you know maybe the work it was and you appreciate it more and don't just gorge on something.
Absolutely.
You know? And you honestly, the education of making food sometimes is seeing how much sugar did go into that, and you may not realize it if you make a box mix or buy something.
Right.
So this is like helping you understand sometimes
Yeah.
to me that like, oh, okay, that's why maybe I don't want to eat the whole row or whatever.
right.
It is, right? Well, it's
Yeah.
an important thing to know though. Like,
Yeah.
I think it is.
It's also going back to consciously eating.
Yes,
Because
yeah.
we just
Right.
don't consciously
No.
eat. And I think just, there are tons of diets out there, and
Right.
they're all wonderful and everything. But the one thing that they say that is the most important thing is to eat whole foods
Right.
and try to prepare it yourself.
Right, as much as you can.
Yeah.
That's always, another big question I get a lot is salt. Salt is such a, I found this out after
Yeah.
I started developing and posting recipes. A lot of people are told by doctors, which is very important to follow your doctor's orders. But salt, don't do salt, especially if you have certain conditions, obviously. And I think that's can be key, but the reason we do that is because we don't realize the amount of salt we're eating from things we don't make.
Exactly.
So if you're
The
eating,
sodium
if you are
in
cooking
processed
mostly at
foods.
home, 90-some% at home, it's really hard to oversalt because a teaspoon or two in a 9x13 something equates to such a small amount.
And if you're using sea salt, it's
Oh my God,
got all
yes,
these
yes.
minerals in it.
Where
is
if you buy a
important.
package of, I don't know, something like a brown, if you look
a
at the
processed
sodium,
food,
so
yeah.
much more than
Yeah.
that one from homemade would be.
Yeah.
So all these things to me, you have to understand. When you make more, you maybe hopefully can understand that a little bit.
So should we open up for questions too? I'll bet there are folks who. Hey, does anybody have a question for Kaleb?
So I think of a similar age to you. Can you talk about your relationship with social media and like sharing that part of yourself?
I think that's something I'm continually struggling with. More for just like my own mental health. It was easy. I became much more of a broad sharer, I would say, about like daily stories or a little bit more intimate things in like 2019. And so I did it without thinking about it. And it's been a wonderful way to connect with people on a much more like scale that I wouldn't have imagined. I think for myself, what it is I have to now, I'm realizing, which I think we all have to do, realize when do I turn it off and when is it that I I don't need to over worry about turning it off, and it's just my own perception of thinking, like, because you're always like, oh, well, if I don't do this today, then like
You'll
that
lose
person
followers.
won't see it,
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
right.
won't do that, and I don't know. It's more that struggle I have to get over. You know, right now everything is more all the time. Try to be viral, try to get the most, try to be everything, and I'm at the point in the last year where I've had enough like low moments with it that I'm like, I can't. I've realized it stifles like my own creativity, because what I liked in the beginning was just doing what I loved and sharing things, not worrying about time, not worrying about 1-minute videos, not worrying about how many views it got, but just sharing the things that actually intrigue. Like when I'm edging a flower bed, that in the past always did the best for me. And whether it does now or not, whether it becomes viral, it's like I've decided this year, like I want to just share the things that I'm excited to share. And hopefully, whether the algorithm likes it or not, that's the stuff I need to be like, that's okay.
So right.
Right?
Yeah,
like it's just,
yeah.
it's hard because we all want more, but then I'm like, I don't.
So I think that's a process that you're going through, and
Yes, and I will say I have realized more so than a viral video getting you just lots of clicks and maybe follows, the people, my core that have followed are the ones that come from the stuff I put out that I actually like and don't feel as forced. Like my core group, whether I never grow again, I think I'm realizing I'm very lucky and maybe take for granted the wonderful people that follow and have a connection to me that I can't always see individually. Like I can't go through every message always and see it, but I think I have to trust that that's there from hearing or meeting sometimes or seeing messages. Honestly, like I thought the cookbooks, like I don't know if anyone really cares. Like I didn't believe it. I didn't ever think it would be a bestseller like on a New York Times. Even that though, after I was like, well, maybe that's not really like the people, like maybe they don't really like it. It's like, I need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And just being like, but they were there.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Jennifer Chaney. Yes.
I'm trying to picture you doing the very first video of myself cooking this. I'm going to wear this outfit.
I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, let's hear.
Actually, it might still exist on YouTube. It was called Decorating the Perfect Christmas Tree. I always loved Christmas, so I think I just always loved Christmas, and it was decorating a Christmas tree in my breezeway. Joel came just for a visit that time, just to film that.
Were you dating then, or did that happen?
No, actually.
You were friends?
Yeah. It was the Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm joking. It really wasn't. No, in my mind at that time, I think it was like this like Martha Stewart type moment of trying. So I was like very like even my voice. It sounds stupid. Like I was like more subdued. I was like, have you ever wondered? I'm serious. It's awful.
You were finding yourself.
It was. I was gonna say that takes
Yes.
having that type of like. I think more peeling back the layers and getting to your just real personality just took me time
Yeah,
to feel
sure.
comfortable doing.
It takes
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
If you looked at everybody's first videos, I bet you people would laugh at them. Anybody else?
Yeah.
So I'm new to kind of your stuff here. My mom brought me into
Oh.
this, so I apologize.
Oh, I love that. Welcome.
Way to go, Mom.
I wanted to take you to turn kind of your passion of farming into a business from when you said, I'm going to do this.
So 2012 technically was the initial year, and it was 2019 that I'd say it had much more direction of including garden, preserving, and like the food I knew, and sharing it in a way that was much more, I think, digestible. And so I would say from 2019, which I count as kind of a different starting point, it took until 2022, which to be full time. I'm sorry.
Oh, to be
for two of
full-time.
us to be full time, and now we have a couple more teammates. But in that way, some creators had a really good. COVID was when a lot of people went and found people.
Yes,
you know?
I bet that's when you probably had a spike in people.
Yeah. A lot of people were
attracted
looking to
your site.
garden or just
Yeah.
to watch things or
Yeah.
find, a reprieve. And so,
Yeah.
but from then on, and then I think it was just able to find that community that understood, because I think there is something to algorithms, whether it's YouTube, any of them, understanding what you are a little bit at least,
Yeah.
and being able to, so I think that's what happened in those years too.
Anybody else? Yes.
So what are your plans for the future? Are you bringing different things into your sphere, so to speak? I mean, like, designing tableware.
Are you going to go all Martha Stewart on us?
Or do you have opportunity?
Yeah.
No, okay. That's a good question. I think, like I said earlier, I like to think I'm getting closer to being a yes person. None of this was ever planned the way it was. And I think that's what's hard, is we never had necessarily this clear vision. Like, we're going to start, a few years ago, we started a yearly magazine that, followers, maybe you're shaking your head, I love that, that we put out around Christmas. That was never planned, and now that's really been growing and wonderful. The book wasn't planned, and that's been wonderful. Yeah. I think we're also in an interesting time, landscape-wise, with a lot of changes. You used to think TV, oh, I want to get to TV.
Yeah.
I think it's really different
Yeah,
anymore. and
completely different.
That's not exactly what it used to be. So
Yeah.
I used to dream of that. I don't know if that's the same thing, but I would love the idea of products. I get scared. Okay, talking about being humble and scared.
Yeah.
I get scared of products because I get scared of selling people things and them getting mad that I'm trying to push things too much.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
You get comments, okay?
Yeah,
You
I'm
get comments
sure.
from people. And so yes, I like that idea though. I do because I love that.
See, I think what's so wonderful about what you're doing is that you didn't have it planned.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of not planning anything. These little happy accidents that happen in your life,
Yeah.
and you find yourself someplace and go, I would have never,
Right.
in my wildest dreams,
Yeah.
thought I would be here,
Right.
and that's what's happened. So,
Yeah.
you know,
True.
you never know.
That's true.
Don't have goals. Really.